So you're thinking of leasing your home instead of selling it. That's definitely a great option. But do you know the rules when you do? In Texas, there's the property code, which you have to abide by. This isn't legal advice. This is just my experience telling you what is required. Now, this isn't an all-inclusive. This will cover the highlights for you. So, according to the Texas Property Code, when you have a rental property, you do have to have double deadbolts for all doors entering and leaving the property. And one of those deadbolts cannot be unlocked from the outside. That's for the protection and privacy of the tenant. So keep that in mind. That's one thing I run into with homes owned by individual landlords. You could potentially have issues. The other thing is many municipalities require that you register the home as a rental property. I know the city of Garland does. I believe McKinney does. There's also other options. You can make a home a Section 8. That's a whole different ball of wax, something that a lot of investors do because it guarantees them a monthly income. That's an option out there. But in this market, maybe you're thinking, hey, I want to lease it out because I think there's still upside left. I would say that's probably correct. Can't guarantee a profit, but we've had 97,000 people moving here every year. That's 365 people a day for about the last 11 or 12 years. And it's going to continue for 3 or 4 years more at a minimum. And we still have in 2020, 21, the number of companies announcing relocation slowed down probably because of COVID, but now we see more that are announcing coming here because they're fleeing the states on the West Coast and New York, Illinois. See a lot of people coming here from those states. So we'll probably still see that. So it's definitely a great time to be a landlord. Now, there are things you need to know. Of course, a lot of people will want to rent and they'll have an aggressive breed dog. You need to check with your insurance company to see what's considered aggressive breed, but generally, Doberman. Sometimes a Grand Pyrenees is considered that. Uh, Maybe a Great Dane. Rottweiler, Pit Bull, American Bulldog. Those are some of them. That's something you want to keep track of. And speaking of pets, there's also something known as a service animal or an emotional support animal. Now, as a landlord, you cannot deny someone renting your property if they have, because of them having an ESA, even though you don't want pets or a service animal. Now, they do have to provide documentation that they truly are a service animal or an ESA. So that's something to keep in mind. The other thing you need to know is there's a disclosure that came out in 2020. It's a flood disclosure. And I just learned about it this last year in the continuing ed class I went to, and I've done a lot of rentals. My continuing ed class didn't teach me in 2020 about this new disclosure. But here's what you need to know as a landlord. If you fail to provide that and the tenant has knowledge that you didn't provide it, they can exit the property and you can't withhold their deposit. So, and you can't report them for breaking a lease if you didn't supply that. But the other thing, you need to check with your local codes to see if there's smoke detectors required. I know where I live, everywhere the ceiling height changes, you're required to have a smoke detector. You may be required to have carbon monoxide if there's gas appliances in the home. That varies. Again, you need to check with local municipalities on those things. And if the house is built before 1978, as a landlord, by federal law, you're required to have a lead-based paint disclosure, whether you know as to whether you have knowledge if there's lead-based paint or not. Most people don't know. So And you're also going to want to provide a copy of the HOA rules if you're in an HOA, and say there's a card to access the amenities. You can charge the tenant for that. And there's also an inventory and condition form you want to have that tenant fill out for things that aren't working or for things that are damaged before they move in. You want to make them send you time-stamped pictures of move in and move out. And if you decide to take a portion of their deposit when they leave because of damage, you're required to give them a broken down list of here's the cost for this, here's the cost for that. Now, we'll say Texas is a very landlord friendly state, so the chance of something happening to you if you do take it and the tenant's upset is probably pretty minimal, but you need to treat everybody fairly. So I just wanted to bring that up in case you're thinking of leasing. It's definitely a great option for you, especially if you think if you're leaving the state, maybe you want to come back. And if you're gonna be remote, I would advise you get a property manager. Now, as an agent, I don't do property management. I refer that out. But when I put a home on the market for lease, I've done it with many investors I work with. I get referrals to do that all the time, put people's homes on the market for lease. And as an agent, I do a background check on them, make sure there's no evictions, no criminal backgrounds, things like that. What you would have to do as a landlord, there's no cost to you when you're using an agent for the background check. Now, of course, an agent's going to charge a fee to put the property on the market and procure a tenant for you. But the background check, that's sent to the tenant. The tenant pays online. That comes back. You as a landlord make the decision, yes or no. So I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, if you're thinking of putting your home on the market for lease, had somebody call me from my Google My Business the other day about a home they were buying that they want to put on the market for lease. More than happy to help you with what your home may lease for in the area you're in. Any other questions you have, or if you have a subject you want me to cover, I'm more than happy to do that. Reach out to me. All my contact information is at the end of this video. Have a great week. See you next time.